She told everyone I was controlling. Then I proved the truth. I never thought I'd become that husband. The suspicious one. The paranoid one. The guy everyone whispers about after his wife vents online about how emotionally controlling he is. But if there's one thing I learned from this entire disaster, it's this. Manipulative people rewrite reality long before the truth comes out. My name's Ryan. I'm 34. I work as a project manager for a construction company, and until about 8 months ago, I thought my marriage was solid. Not perfect, not movie perfect, but real. I'd been married to my wife, Vanessa, for 6 years, together for almost 9. We owned a small townhouse outside Denver, had a golden retriever named Moose, shared bills, routines, Sunday Costco trips, and all the little boring things that make up adult life. From the outside, we looked stable. Inside the marriage, though, things had been slowly rotting for a long time, and I didn't realize I was being turned into the villain of her story until it was too late. It started with tiny public comments. At dinners with friends, Vanessa would joke about me being strict. If I reminded her we had plans early the next day, she'd sigh dramatically and say, "Careful. Ryan gets cranky when schedules change." People laughed. Then came, "He tracks everything." Or, if I'm 5 minutes late, he starts interrogating me. The weird thing, none of it was true. I wasn't controlling. I was organized. There's a difference. I paid most of the bills because Vanessa constantly impulse shopped. I handled budgeting because she once overdrafted our account buying concert tickets and forgot rent was due. But somehow, over time, responsible became controlling in her version of events. And she told this version to everyone. Friends, coworkers, even her sister once joked, "Ryan probably has you on a GPS tracker." Vanessa laughed. I laughed too. But inside, something always felt off. Because those jokes weren't random. They were laying groundwork. I just didn't know it yet. Around that time, Vanessa started changing. New clothes, new perfume, suddenly obsessed with the gym after years of hating exercise. She became glued to her phone. If I walked near her while she was texting, she tilted the screen away instinctively. One night I asked who she was talking to. Without missing a beat, she replied, "Do I need permission now?" That stunned me, because I'd asked casually, not accusingly. But immediately I became the problem. That became our pattern. Every concern I raised somehow transformed into evidence that I was emotionally suffocating. Meanwhile, she stayed out later and later. Girls' nights, work drinks, team building events. Always an excuse. Always defensive. One Friday she came home at nearly 2 a.m. smelling like cologne and expensive whiskey. I asked if everything was okay. She exploded instantly. "Oh my God, Ryan, I can't breathe without you acting suspicious." I actually apologized. That's the part that embarrasses me most now. I apologized because she was so convincing that I started questioning my own sanity. Maybe I was too anxious. Maybe work stress made me paranoid. Maybe I was becoming controlling without realizing it. That's what manipulation does. It makes you distrust your own instincts. Things escalated when she started posting vague things online. Stuff like, "Some people confuse love with ownership," or "Being emotionally monitored is exhausting." Friends commented supportive things underneath. "You deserve freedom." "So toxic." "Hope you're okay." I remember staring at those comments feeling physically sick. Because nobody asked my side. Nobody wondered what was actually happening. I became the invisible villain in a story I didn't even know was being written. Then came the first major red flag. Her phone buzzed while she was showering. Normally, I never checked it. Never. But after months of feeling like I was losing my mind, I looked. The preview message said, "Tyler, miss your body already." I froze. Tyler, her coworker. The same coworker she told me was basically annoying. The same guy she rolled her eyes about constantly. Suddenly my chest felt hollow. I unlocked her phone. Her password was still our dog's birthday. The messages went back 7 months. 7 months of flirting. Hotel meetups. Pictures. Voice notes. inside jokes about me. One message shattered me completely. Tyler asked, "Does your husband suspect anything?" Vanessa replied, "Ryan's too busy policing dishes and grocery lists to notice real problems, lol. Then, he's harmless. Harmless." I sat there staring at that word longer than anything else. Because I realized that's how she saw me. Not a husband. Not a partner. Just someone convenient. Someone safe to disrespect. And the worst part? While cheating on me, she'd been slowly painting me as controlling so nobody would believe me if I ever discovered the truth. That realization changed everything. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. And once you stop believing the lies, patterns become obvious. She'd suddenly work late on the exact days Tyler stayed late, according to company Instagram posts. She claimed girls' nights at bars that her friends never actually attended. I even noticed she'd started accusing me of cheating randomly. Classic projection. One night, she looked through my phone and said, "You're weirdly protective lately." I almost laughed out loud. Meanwhile, I started quietly collecting evidence. Screenshots, bank statements, hotel receipts, deleted photos recovered from synced cloud storage. I found videos too. That part nearly broke me. Not because they existed, but because she filmed them in places I recognized. Our car, our guest room. Once even while I was visiting my father in the hospital overnight after surgery. That discovery changed my sadness into something colder. Clarity. I contacted a lawyer. Then another. I wanted everything airtight. And while all this was happening, Vanessa kept escalating the controlling husband narrative publicly. At a barbecue with friends, she joked, "Ryan probably has my location monitored right now." Everyone laughed. I smiled too. But internally I realized something terrifying. She was preparing people not to trust me. That's why cheaters do this sometimes. If exposure comes, they want plausible deniability. He's obsessive. He's jealous. He's controlling. That way, when the truth surfaces, people hesitate. I decided if she wanted an audience so badly, I'd give her one. Carefully. Precisely. I waited nearly 3 weeks. Long enough to gather everything. Long enough to detach emotionally. Long enough to stop loving her. Then came her birthday party. Vanessa loved attention, so naturally she hosted a huge gathering at our house. Friends, coworkers, her family, even Tyler was there. Watching them interact publicly while pretending nothing was happening made me feel strangely calm. Like I'd already emotionally left the marriage. Vanessa was laughing loudly in the kitchen when her friend Emma joked, "So Vanessa, does Ryan still make you report your whereabouts?" Everyone laughed again. Vanessa smirked dramatically. "I should probably text him now before he files a missing persons report." More laughter. That was my moment. I stood up quietly, walked over to the living room TV, connected my phone. Vanessa noticed immediately. Her smile faded. The first screenshot appeared on screen. Then another. Then another. Hotel confirmations. Messages. Photos. Explicit conversations. The room went dead silent. I'll never forget that silence. Tyler literally whispered, "Oh shit." Vanessa went pale instantly. "What the fuck are you doing?" I looked directly at everyone and said calmly, "For months I've heard how controlling I supposedly am." I clicked to another screenshot. A message where she mocked me to Tyler after I asked if she got home safely. "He acts like he owns me." Then another. "I just tell people he's controlling, so they don't question why I avoid him." You could actually hear someone gasp. Her sister started crying quietly. Tyler tried leaving immediately. I stopped him with one sentence. "Sit down. You've been in my marriage long enough already." Vanessa snapped. Not apologizing. Not remorseful. Angry. "How dare you invade my privacy?" That told everyone everything. Not guilt. Not heartbreak. Just outrage at consequences. Then came the performance. Crying. Hyperventilating. Claiming I emotionally neglected her. Claiming the affair just happened. Claiming she felt trapped. I listened quietly before finally saying, "You spent months telling people I was controlling because you needed a reason for your cheating before anyone even found out." Silence. Nobody defended her. Because evidence destroys manipulation. Eventually Tyler left. Then people slowly started leaving awkwardly one by one. Her sister hugged me before leaving and whispered, "I'm so sorry." Vanessa spent the next hour screaming at me after everyone was gone. She called me abusive, psycho, cruel. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You humiliated me in front of everyone." And that's when it hit me. That was her greatest pain. Not betraying me, not destroying our marriage. Humiliation, exposure, consequences. I handed her divorce papers right there in the kitchen. She stared at them in disbelief. "You already planned this?" I answered honestly, "You planned it first. I just finished it." The divorce process was ugly. She tried controlling the narrative online initially, posted vague crying selfies, talked about emotional abuse. But eventually too many people knew the truth, especially after Tyler's wife contacted me. Yeah. He was married too. She'd had no idea. The fallout destroyed both affairs simultaneously. Tyler lost his marriage. Vanessa lost most of her friendships because people realized she'd been manipulating everyone. And me? Oddly enough, I got my life back. The anxiety disappeared almost immediately after she moved out. That constant feeling of walking on eggshells vanished. I started sleeping normally again, started seeing friends more, started realizing how deeply emotionally exhausted I'd been for years. Therapy helped too. A lot. My therapist told me something that changed how I viewed everything. Healthy people don't need to rewrite reality to justify hurting others. That sentence stuck with me, because Vanessa didn't just cheat. She built an alternate version of me to excuse it. That's what hurt most. Months later, one of our mutual friends admitted something to me. She said, "Honestly, Vanessa talked about you being controlling so often that we all just believed it." That sentence bothered me for weeks, because it showed how easy it is for narratives to replace truth, especially when the quiet person doesn't defend themselves constantly. About a year later, I ran into Vanessa accidentally at Target. She looked smaller somehow, less confident. She asked if we could talk. I said sure. For about 10 minutes we made awkward small talk near household supplies like strangers pretending history didn't exist. Then she finally asked quietly, "Do you think I'm a bad person?" I thought about it carefully, then answered honestly, "I think you cared more about protecting your image than protecting people who loved you." She started crying immediately, but for the first time in years, I didn't feel responsible for fixing it, and that might have been the most freeing moment of my entire life.